Hello, everyone. My name is Beits. I'm the founder and owner of Gallop Technology Group and Legal Technology Solutions. On today's webinar, we're going to be talking, it's not necessarily just for office managers, but really anybody with a managerial responsibility of a small, mid-sized business. The topic today is how should an office manager, or really anybody else, prepare for an incident response. So an incident response is basically responding to an incident, which means obviously that something already happened. Now, it's important to explain that when something happens, it doesn't necessarily mean that damages have been caused, for example. It doesn't mean that a hacker is on your network. It is possible that an incident is a phishing email that got through your spam filter, for example. It is also possible that an incident might be that a cell phone has been stolen, but not necessarily used by anybody or cannot even be accessed, or an encrypted hard drive that technically is not readable by anybody without the decryption code, but an encrypted hard drive that's lost is obviously an incident. Now, as a manager, you should have some kind of a plan to understand how to respond to those incidents. So again, I wanted to clarify that an incident is not necessarily that information has been stolen and all your data is encrypted right now and a hacker is asking for ransom. This is not always going to be the case. It can be just an indication that something might happen. So let's dive in a little bit more, and I'm going to breeze through this like I do with most of our webinars because we have a half hour and a lot of information. And the goal is for people to watch the recording and not necessarily to just get the word by word that I'm sharing right now. Next, let's see. We're going to explain real quick the importance of an incident response. And it is very important to understand why it's important. Kind of like a fire drill, right? I mean, if you're a teacher or a student in a school, for example, or if you are a manager in Costco or any other big company, those fire drills and those incidents that we want to be prepared for can save lives. In a small business environment, it can save assets, minimize a lot of downtime, and ensure that the business has the continuity that it needs to go back to operational 100% as soon as possible. And this is the type of fire that we're trying to prevent, or type of issues we're trying to minimize by having a good response plan in place. So we need to get familiarized with the breach sources in today's world. And this is a slide, couple of slides that I go over in most of my webinars and CLE classes, because I believe really that it's important that everybody understands where hacks can come from and how vulnerable we all are. So let's take a look real quick at who are some of the threats out there. So we have the hacking collectives, which are basically people that will try to break in, not necessarily to cause damage, but to make sure that they are able to give you a report or whatnot. Some of them go rogue and then they're not white hat anymore. Those are just one group of people that are doing it with the permission of the business, but not necessarily going to continue that in a good manner. Internet of Things hackers. Those are hackers that get into our network and our data through devices that connect to the internet, like the thermostat or Alexa or Siri, or my water heater at home right now, for example, is on Wi-Fi because I can get alerts. So anything that's connected to your network in the office or home is called an IoT device, and your TVs, etc., are all a source for hackers as well. People that develop ransomware, obviously, those numbers from 2018 are ridiculously low. It's way more than that these days. We have the nation states, some countries for some reason don't like the US, go figure. We have organized crime, mafia, gangs, etc., trying to cause damage between each other or to governments or to countries in general. We have the inside threats. Those are a huge risk for most businesses. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We have a webinar that explains a lot more in depth into this type of threat. Insider threat is a big problem these days. Knowingly or unknowingly, think about it. If somebody clicks on a bad link or open a bad attachment, they're an inside threat. They didn't do anything on purpose necessarily, but threat came from inside. It's lack of education, lack of knowledge, lack of filters for those emails or bad websites, etc. Script kiddies, those are people that might be bored at 1 o'clock in the morning on their cell phones. They don't really know what to do, and they just surf the internet and they find ways to actually play with those scripts and figure out how to make money. That is going to be something that we have to be worried about. Hacktivists, those are hackers with political goals and agenda. We have the malware developers, of course, and the cell phones are not immune. A lot of people think that iPhones and even Mac or tablets are safe. You can get infected through those as well. Your vendors can potentially be an issue, a vendor that is not secured. One of the greatest examples I can give is a story about a casino that got hacked through, or the hackers got through the casino's network through the thermostat of the fish tank that was managed by that company in the casino. So the casino got an IoT device, the wireless thermostat. The company that provided that and monitored that was the one that actually got hacked, and through that company, most of the clients of that company, including the casino, got hacked. The hacker was able to get in through all the systems because it came in from kind of like a back door. Existing or ex-employees, obviously, needless to say what that means. Your competition, if you're a lawyer or if you're a researcher or if you're whatever it is and you have a lot to lose, or somebody has a lot to gain if they get into your network or cause damage to you or reputation issues, etc. Think about how many people can lose a lot of money, reputation, credibility, etc. I think one of the better examples with that will be a password manager called LastPass. LastPass was one of the most popular, maybe still is one of the most popular password managers out there. And they were hacked 2 or 3 times in 1 year span. And the problem with that is that nobody knows really who really took care of it and who really did it. But it's very possible that a couple of the other big players in the password managers software providers actually might have caused that. Think about it. It will make a lot of sense. If a password manager that needs to be very secured is hacked and breached, how many people will jump ship and go to the competitors of that password manager? We have your frustrated clients, the clients that you caused them some damage maybe, or you pissed them off one way or another, and they might know a little bit about technology, or they might be able to trick you in one way or another, knowing how you work, to open a bad link or execute a bad attachment, etc. Your current IT provider, making sure that you're paying them more money. I've seen that, I heard about that quite a few times, unfortunately, where somebody that you trust actually gets you infected because they charge you by the hour. So that's kind of sad. Also, to show you the value. Why am I paying you for? Well, let me show you what you're paying us for. Here is a breach, and we were able to stop some of it. The damage is very minimal, but you still have damage. If you would have listened to us, we would be able to prevent it all, blah, blah, blah. So you didn't buy their latest and greatest, and they're going to infect you. Previous IT providers, there's a lot of IT companies and managed service providers that don't do a thorough job to lock and kick out everybody else from the network once they take over a new client. So a previous IT provider might be able to trick or to find a back door that they had before, and the new IT provider did not think about it, did not know about it. So a previous IT provider to kind of like punish you for leaving them might be another source. And your vendor's own source, for example, Microsoft and Dropbox and TimeSolve, all of those big companies have a lot of information saved on them, right? And if the vendor is a threat to you, it's because they have their own threats to worry about. They hold a lot of information, not just yours. So they are a big target, and because of that, you are a big target as well. So in order to get the response plan, we need to start by defining roles and responsibilities. And you want to make sure you assign specific roles to team members mostly, but you want to also clearly define who does what during an incident. And it's also important to know who does what post-incident and who does what during the testing of the response plan. We're going to talk about the testing soon. We have to worry about a couple of things over here. We have to worry about the fact that sometimes when things like that happen, when there is an incident, everybody's running like chickens with their head cut, and it's a problem. If you have specifically assigned roles and responsibilities to team members, the chances of people losing their mind and stressing and not knowing what to do next, even though they spoke about it quite a few times internally, chances are pretty low if they know what needs to be done. So an example is to assign one person to handle communication with clients, another with the IT people, another one with maybe your lawyer or your insurance company. It might be one person doing all of those, and then another person starting to document. Depends on the size of your business. This is one thing, to start defining the roles and responsibilities of who does what. Now you need to create a team, basically, which is a team of those individuals. And the team might look like an office manager, the CIO or CTO, of course, somebody from the IT staff, your insurance company contact team. If you have a cyber liability policy, it's important, obviously, that you know how to reach them in case of an incident. You don't want to start reaching out at 2 o'clock in the morning when you know your data is being eaten alive and uploaded to the cloud or whatever by a hacker. You don't want to look for your insurance paperwork at that point. So make sure you build the team. It's important to also maybe put an attorney, a law firm that specializes in those type of cases to be on call for you as well. The protocol of communication and action is the next step. You want to establish clear communication channels for reporting incidents. There are internal communication, external, are emails safe to be used at that point. We need to make sure that everyone knows how to report an issue and how to contact others. So, for example, how do you let all of your employees know? We've had a client that told us that when it happened to them before our time with them, they actually sent an email to all of their team members and told them, guys, we're under attack. Let's not use the company emails anymore. Let's communicate with my personal email address from your personal email address. Here is my personal Gmail account, and blah, blah, blah. Now the hacker knows that as well. If they're on your network, if they have a keylogger, if they know exactly what's happening on the communication, if they're on your Microsoft account, that might be a problem. So emails might not be safe. Is it realistic to make phone calls to start notifying your team? What about external communication? If you have 400 customers that you have to notify because there's laws about notification in some states, you might need to call all of your clients. From what I understand, I'm not a lawyer, but from what I understand, the normal way that you communicate with your customers is the way that you should report to them an incident like that if you feel that their data is in danger. For example, if normally you call your clients, you should be calling them to report an incident. But if usually you email them or you send them an alert through a pop-up on their screen or whatever it is, you can use that as well. Obviously, snail mail to cover your tracks as well to show what was done, etc. But what are the communication protocols? Make sure that you know to put that in your action plan. And break it down also to the immediate actions, the containment strategies, and the recovery steps. And I want to add something else, the post-incident lesson learned. We have it in one of the other slides later. Obviously, what action should be taken immediately? For example, are you going to turn off the internet so no data will be leaked outside? Are you going to shut down your server? Are you going to unplug your router from the electricity, for example? Are you going to call this or call that person? Sometimes doing some of those things might tamper with evidence, not knowingly maybe, but you might not allow your insurance company to send their own digital forensics people right away to see what information is actually leaving your establishment or being stolen or being uploaded. Sometimes it's maybe just like half a folder that was encrypted or was uploaded to the hackers' servers on the cloud, and you don't need to notify the whole world because of that. So knowing what needs to be done, what actions you need to immediately take, how do you contain, what strategy you have to contain that infection or that incident, and then an example over here is to create a contact list with phone numbers and emails of all the team members, set up a dedicated email address for reporting incidents. It's never to be used except for a real scenario. So when you do trials and when you do testing of those response plans, you don't use that because that's going to be saved only for real incidents, or you do use it to make sure it works and people know what to expect and how to digest that information, knowing that it's coming from a real emergency address kind of thing. Developing the actual plan means that you have to write down all the procedures step by step. You want to make sure that everything should be documented and easily accessible. One of the other main points that we see a lot is that people forget that they don't want to put it only in a digital format, because if your data is encrypted and hijacked, you won't have access to that digital copy as well. So I recommend to all of our clients to have a copy of those incident response plans downloaded to their own cell phones, maybe all management cell phones. Those are company documents. It's not like anything secretive that management should not know about. So download those documents to your cell phone and have physical printed copies in and out of the office. The checklist of what to do, for example, if a phishing email is received. This is a great example, right? If you have an email that somebody received, it might be that nothing happened. Nobody even clicked on it. It might be a very short and simple incident, because it's an incident response plan to say, when somebody reported a phishing email, we need to maybe notify our IT company or our spam filter provider to let them know that an email went through. We need to also trigger an alert for the internal staff to let them know that this is an example of a phishing email that just came through. Please be careful, report that, delete it, whatever your plan says. So again, what to do if a laptop is missing, right? If you have the ability to encrypt all of your data on your hard drives, the action plan is much different than if you don't encrypt the data. What if a wire transfer happened unexpectedly? All of those little incidents should have a simple plan or a comprehensive plan, depends on the potential damage associated with them. We want to make sure we establish a backup and recovery plan. And the most important part, and we've seen that over the years, I've seen it for the last 20 years, so many unfortunately times, is people have a backup and recovery system in place, but they don't ever test it. And now when something happens, how do you go back to being operational if you realize that 2 years ago was the last time the backup actually captured the data? You might get an email telling you it's completed, but it might not be accessible for some reason. Maybe the backup file is encrypted for a good reason by your IT team or by you, and you switch an IT company 4 times since it was set up. Nobody ever changed that. Nobody ever tested that. So can you restore it? Make sure you test it. We recommend quarterly, depends on the size of business, maybe monthly. So not just backup and recover plan, but backup recovery and testing of the backup. Risk assessments is something that we have to set up on a regular basis as well. What are the risks? Things change a lot of times, right? We have new threats out there. Your software changed, maybe new vendors, new insurance company, new IT provider, people that had some responsibilities as part of your response team or your personnel are no longer in the company or moved to a different department, and they no longer have access to the documents that they need to have in order to address a specific incident. Make sure that you are regularly checking and doing that risk assessment. You want to create an incident log. Somebody needs to be in charge of documenting everything that happened, and somebody needs to be sharing that information when it's the right time with your team and with your insurance and maybe lawyer, etc., of exactly what happened, how you addressed it, how you could have prevented it, etc. Testing and updating the actual plan is another thing that most people forget to do, unfortunately. I recommend maybe quarterly training sessions where the employees will learn about new types of cyber threats and how to handle them. Send your team fake phishing emails, ransomware attack simulations. Those are going to be ways to kind of test your staff, not just the response team, but also your um, regular employees that don't have any responsibilities besides to be aware of and be careful of those things. Make sure that you're testing them and updating them on a regular basis because things change. Hackers become smarter and smarter with the help of AI, etc. We want to engage with an external expert. You guys, your in-house IT person or your CIO, CTO might be amazing, genius people, but unless they're trained on incident response and unless they have the right tools and knowledge and education on an ongoing basis, not something they learned 10 years ago, you cannot rely on those people, unfortunately, to stay on top of it and actually get you out of trouble. So if something serious does happen, we highly recommend engaging with an external expert. You don't have to have really expensive monthly services with some of those companies. They can just be on call for you, and maybe once a quarter they meet with you and verify that information that they have is still accurate, the response team is still the same, and vendors and software are still the same, and all that fun stuff. So external experts are great. This is one of the services, of course, we offer, and happy to chat with you about. Wait for the end. There's a nice little offer we're giving you at this point. You want to ensure compliance with regulations. Depends on your industry, HIPAA, SEC, PCI. If you're an attorney, the state bar or the ABA might have some rules for you, regulations for you. So you want to avoid the legal issues and make sure that you're in compliance with what your industry is dictating that you have to do. You might be able to come back to being 100% operational within a week, but if you forgot to notify your clients or didn't have that in your plan, or if you did not do specific things to prevent those type of attacks or breaches or incidents, you might still get in trouble because information might still be leaked out and the client's information might be still stolen, etc. You want to develop a post-incident review process. Again, needless to explain that, just something that you want to remember. The plan doesn't end with, I'm back to work right now. The plan should end with what lesson learned we have and how do we use that to prevent future issues. Promote a security culture. It starts from the top. If management and high management, lower management doesn't participate and show the rest of the employees that it's important that the participation is there, you might never have a security culture. It has to start from the top, and no other way it will ever work. You need your team to have a buy-in because your team, your employees are the biggest risk for your company, period. You want to stay informed about cybersecurity trends. Again, things change all the time. How do you keep on top of it? There are multiple cybersecurity newsletters and conferences and CLE classes and webinars like these that many companies out there put together. It is out there, very easily found. Your IT company should offer you education like this on a regular basis as well and keeping you up to date, not just by posting a blog post, but also sharing some videos and sharing some information that you can test whether or not your employees even looked at it. If you just send your employees a 2-minute video, but you have no clue who's watching it, they're busy, they don't care about it, how does that help? So for example, what we do for our clients is we send the videos once every week or 2 weeks, and there's a 4-question quiz at the end of every video, and the management gets a report to see how every employee did and who is the biggest risk of the company. Hint, hint, it's usually the owners, unfortunately. And then you can continue with education and better hand-holding if needed. There's also incentives you can give, obviously, to the people that do participate, and it doesn't have to be the stick always, it can be the carrot as well. So I want to offer a couple of things for you to take advantage of to make sure that you are in a good start right now. So if you already have a checklist, if you already have an incident response plan, we're going to review that for you. But I want to offer you, first of all, download a little checklist we created for you to start the process. So go to this URL or scan this QR code, and you'll be able to request that free, no obligation, no BS, nothing. Just we'll give you the cheat sheet, the tips that we will gladly share with you to get started. And if you do have an incident response plan already in place, go to this page or scan the QR code. Again, it's going to take you to the same page. We're going to review the plan for you, advise you on some stuff, recommend, and giving you some tips and kind of next steps that we recommend that you take to make it a whole. We don't charge for that as well. This is our way to kind of help the community and give back to our amazing clients and those who are in a need to get some help, but maybe can't afford it or don't have any good vendors that can help them with that. And besides that, we also offer a complimentary domain and email security check. And the assessment here helps you figure out if your email spoofing is preventable, or how preventable is it, how doable it is for you to block phishing attacks, improve some email delivery and all that fun stuff that's listed over here. Those are assessments and reports that we create at no cost, just to kind of open your eyes to see whether or not you're in a good position right now. So take advantage of that as well on all of those things, or just one at a time, doesn't really matter to us, but we're here for you. And we also created a very nice hacking demo that we really recommend that you watch. Go to this page over there, just request that link, the access to the page. It's a hacking demo that was created to show how we can get from a simple Word document, how somebody can be tricked to click a couple of times on a Word document and allow a hacker to get everything from that person's computer, keystrokes and access to every file and documents on that computer. We show how a hacker can change your background image or background picture of your computer screen, for example. This is a very eye-opening video, so just about 5-10 minutes, and you'll get the point very easily, and you'll be shocked, I'm sure. And always, I offer to stay in touch. I am very active on LinkedIn, and our pages on Facebook and LinkedIn for Gallop Technology Group and Legal Technology Solutions are very active with a lot of tips and short videos, etc. If you want to reach out to ask me any questions, I'm happy to help if it's something that we cannot help at no cost. We are in the service business, so we might have to bill for some of those pieces of advice. I'll let you know, of course, but we are happy to help. We're fortunate enough to have the time and the ability to offer these services and some advice for free. So take advantage of it. Hopefully you learned something new today. And again, every business will be different. So I can't stress enough how important that is for you to sit with your own management team or ownership or IT person and come up with a game plan that works for your business. The basics are the same, like we just reviewed right now. Those are the basics. But beyond that, who's calling, who's doing what, that's very individual for each company. So take care of it, because it will most likely happen when you're going to need, unfortunately, one of those things and one of those policies or plans. And if you have them, I promise you it's going to help you a lot get over the stress and the damages. That's all for me. Again, thank you guys, and have a safe day online. Bye-bye.